Hello there. Not only do Germany and France not want UK tourist money in the EU, the quality of EU meat might be about to fall to standards lower than that of Matt Hancock's moral compass. As per usual, please like, subscribe and comment below. The French and German governments are doubling down on their efforts to persuade the other EU 25 to ensure Brits can't get into the EU unless they quarantine for 4 days on arrival. But firstly, that rejoiner's perfect trading bloc of health and safety purity will also be taking a big step back in food standards to that of the days of BSE and CJD. You may recall those grim months when the UK government was buying up every railway sleeper in the land and piling them high with dead cattle slaughtered to clear our livestock herd of BSE or mad cow disease. When we found to our horror that feeding bits of dead animal to living animals that we would then be serving up on our dinner tables would not only cause disease in the animals and the meat we ate, but also cause hideous variant CJD in humans. As a result, vets spent months slaughtering anything that moved in the farmyard except the tractors and farmers, and the practice of feeding animal to animal was rightly banned. In all, 4.4 million cattle were slaughtered because we fed our cows infected meat and bone meal. But the practice was banned, but not just in the UK, but also across the EU as well. But now the EU is walking back on that and will allow certain animal cross-feeding. Brussels has decided that pigs and chickens can be fed to each other and cow can be fed to other animals. Yes, that's right. Animals will once again feed upon animals in the EU food chain, which sounds a bit like behind the scenes of number 10 at the moment. But in all seriousness, what ends up being served up in EU member states will be drastically reduced in quality compared to that of us Brits, who will hopefully not be joining in with this chicken eat pig eat chicken roundabout. And the rejoiners called Brexit the race to the bottom. Not since before the days of the BSE crisis has it been acceptable for this practice of feeding farmed animals with processed animal protein, better or more rightly known as PAP, to return to the food marketplace. And the EU is doing this because non-EU states, where it sources some of its meat, are not as strict about feeding animals to animals before eating the meat. And it's that competition angle, cost saving, that has the EU changing its rules, not food safety. Although they will of course claim otherwise. As The Guardian explains, a ban on farm feed made of animal remains introduced during the BSE crisis is to be lifted in the EU to allow cheap pig protein to be fed to chickens over fears that European farmers are being undercut by lower standards elsewhere. And it goes on to say that many EU farmers are now looking forward to using cheap PAP again. But the real point here is that the EU is diverging away and down from UK food standards. And now that we've left the EU, it is up to us whether or not we tie ourselves to that lowering standard. And at the moment, the UK is under pressure from the likes of President Biden, the Republic of Ireland and the EU to align ourselves dynamically with Brussels rules for the sake of the Good Friday Agreement, which so far has only been properly respected by the UK. And one big point about this is that if we, as I hope we will, stick to our agricultural pitchforks, the Irish Border Protocol will make it far easier to get this EU pre-BSE standard meat into Northern Ireland than to get UK post-BSE higher standard meat into the province. How can that possibly be right? The UK rejoin campaigners will in all probability give this a good stiff ignoring or try and fudge it in their brains. But every time the UK lines up to talk to the US about a trade deal, they'll be the ones shouting "chlorinated chicken" at the rest of us. When in actual fact it might be time for the UK to insist on all EU meat entering the UK to be chlorinated, just to be on the safe side. Or better still, just ban it. Although taking a quick look around the web at differing food standards across the world, you get the feeling that wherever we import from there will be some shortcomings. And unless we're able to provide all our meat from within the UK, then we do need to import from somewhere else. And that's a difficult trade-off when UK standards are so high, relatively speaking. And to be fair, the UK's RSPCA does have misgivings about the trade deal we're organising with Australia, given their different approach to animal welfare down under, pointing out that 40% of beef produced in Australia involves the use of hormones, a practice that is currently not allowed in the UK. Australia also permits hot branding, which is not used in the UK. Should we not be paying a bit more to ensure that the meat they export to the UK is of the same standard as that produced here? And while the EU is lowering its food standards, France and Germany are also doing their best to keep the highly vaccinated Brits out of the EU. With the German Chancellor Angela Merkel and the French President Emmanuel Macron trying to whip up an anti-UK frenzy amongst the others. All because of the India Delta variant. The trouble for Brussels is that this has caused a bit of a split in the bloc. After all, there are many EU member states that would be very keen to see UK tourists crowding their streets and pouring money into hotels and tourist attractions. Without that, they could be headed for yet another bleak summer. What there is left of it. Although the EU Commission has seen sense on one Brexit aspect today by deciding that the UK's data protection rules are as robust as theirs. In a press release, the EU Commission said, "Personal data can now flow freely from the European Union to the United Kingdom, where it benefits from an essentially equivalent level of protection to that guaranteed under EU law." And the EU Commissioner for Justice, Didier Reynders, said, "After months of careful assessments, today we can give EU citizens certainty that their personal data will be protected when it is transferred to the UK. Unless it's in the form of an office video or a highly secret paper regarding frigate deployments." And the UK government, having already recognised EU rules as adequate for our needs, welcomed the move as it negated the need for us to negotiate additional arrangements with each EU counterparty, and it also aids law enforcement. This decision by the EU will also remove the threat of extra red tape, so giving business a big boost. And the UK government went on to say, "The UK must also now move to complete the development of its own international data transfer regime in order to allow companies in the UK not just to exchange data with the EU, but also to be able to access opportunities across the world." But that's all well and good, but not much help to UK tourists or the EU hospitality trade if they're stuck this side of the channel, passports in hand. And in other news, Brexiteers, who were ruthlessly hounded by the Electoral Commission for years after the EU referendum in 2016, have at last received an apology via the Electoral Commission's new president, John Pullinger. Talking to The Telegraph, he said, "Darren Grimes is the one that stands out. I've looked very carefully at that. He had a horrible time. The Commission has apologised for what happened to him, and I take this opportunity to apologise again. What happened to him should not have happened." This comes after Darren Grimes had to fight against a blatantly pro-EU organisation that was hell-bent on destroying him, and to get a £20,000 fine against him overturned on appeal. Mr Pullinger also said that the Commission needed to learn to treat people like, well, people. So that is it. Not sure if he got any, but maybe Mr Grimes is due a bit of compensation for what he went through. Further, the Electoral Commission should be scrapped and something else more fit for purpose put in its place. So what's your opinion on EU meat standards, the Germans and French trying to keep our tourists out of the EU, and the Electoral Commission? Please like and comment below.